Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News, where I read to you headlines from my news feed and share with you my thoughts on those headlines, those articles, those subject matters, if I feel like sharing them with you. But it's not news, it's just my thoughts on the news. I'm Angela and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Consider subscribing if you like the not news from Angela. 17 photos that prove the country where America has been fighting its longest war is actually one of the most beautiful on earth. You know what country that is? Afghanistan. Betsy DeVos wants to gut department that investigates civil rights violations in schools. What a surprise! 17-year-old soccer star says he just wants to be left alone after repeatedly suffering racial abuse on and off the field. Racism in Egypt. Black women share their appalling experiences. 8 remarkable skyscrapers and mega projects that will debut in American cities in 2018. A village in Kenya is quietly disproving the biggest myth about basic income. The biggest myth is that people will get the money and they'll work less, and they'll use the money on things like drugs and alcohol and prostitutes. So people get the money and they use the money on things like their children's education, on starting business, and on paying bills. Because most people are just normal, regular people. Just because people are financially poor does not mean that they are criminals. Why do we criminalize poorer people? Way more black women die during childbirth, and hospitals that serve black women have huge maternal mortality rates. This is 2017, about to be 2018. And women are dying in childbirth, in hospitals, after they done ran midwives basically out of business and try to regulate the hell out of midwives and things that are natural. Throw people up on the table to have babies because it's more convenient and more comfortable for the doctor, and it's anti-nature. Why don't you use gravity to help you? Oh, because it's more convenient and comfortable for the doctor. In 1872, this woman became the first black female lawyer in the United States. Swatting suspect in Wichita shooting may have done same prank to KABC TV. So swatting, I didn't really know about it, but it's where have you ever heard where people prank people and they'll be like, they want 100 pizzas over there at 80 Farron Park. And then, they show up at your door, ring the bell, and they be like, here are your 80 pizzas. Your bill is $250. You be like, I didn't order 80 pizzas. And I guess somebody somewhere thinks that's funny to have a business prepare food. That's just dumb. But this is even more dumb and dangerous because someone called in, and this happened in this case, but this is not, they have a name for this practice. Someone called in and said, over at 80 Farron Park, someone is holding children hostage. So the SWAT team appears, or the SWAT gang, or whatever they're called, and they shoot up a man who had nothing to do with anything, and he's a father of 4 children. Now, the person who called in the fake SWAT thing, the fake, hostage situation, was playing a video game with someone over the internet. They got into an altercation. And he said, I'm going to SWAT you. What's your address? And the person lied and gave some random address. And then the person who lied and gave the random address is like, oh my God, I see on the news that a SWAT team showed up at that fake address I gave that guy. What is wrong? Some people have issues. You don't have anything better and more productive to do with your time and energy than waste other people's time and energy. And also you out here getting people killed over stupid, like, for what? What are you? OkCupid's real name push isn't sitting well with users. OkCupid is like, well, you don't have to use your real name. Just don't use numbers and symbols. People are like, I don't want to be using my real name because I don't want people out here stalking me. And then y'all connecting us by location. I don't want people out here knowing who I am and where I live and being able to follow my digital footprint. OkCupid. Niagara Falls becomes ice-covered spectacle because it's so cold. I guess it's just frozen in place. Haiti, the heart of Durham's Black Wall Street. It's spelled Hayti, but it's kind of like how people spell Haiti, Ayti, like for the island that we typically call, or not the island, but the country we call Haiti. They say that some people say that that island used to be called Haiti by the natives, or Haiti, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, it looks like that. But Durham's Black Wall Street, I don't know anything about Durham's Black Wall Street, but that's the article. Be Fabulous You is me on Twitter, so a lot of these links get sent over to my Twitter page, so you can read the article yourself and maybe educate me and you, because I don't always have time to read all of the articles that I like to read, all the things that I find interesting. Sydney seaplane, 6 dead as aircraft crashes into river, as in Sydney, Australia. So rest in peace for the people who made their transition. I think several of them were tourists. It seemed to be a tourist type activity, like touring the city in a seaplane. Scan technique reveals secret writing in mummy cases. So I think what I gathered is, like, if you go into like a tomb of a pharaoh or whatever, on the walls it's like written like, this person is great and wonderful who's buried here. This is Angela and she's the stuff. But then Angela is wrapped up in just like regular old newspaper from the day. And the regular old newspaper is what they figured out some way to read that, so they can read about regular people and regular going-ons. You know how you just wrap fish in newspaper, you don't care nothing about the newspaper, but they figured out some way to scan. This scan technique is getting more into that. Now, I think I saw, but anyway, dozens killed in bus and lorry road crash in Kenya. Oh, rest in peace. And peace to the families and the communities of those who have made their transition today and yesterday, and who are making. We all got to make our transitions. We know that, but sometimes it can be tough. China reduces tax on donkey skins despite population fears. So they done ran out. Hold on a second. They basically have run out of donkeys in China, and there's some like demand for donkey meat, donkey skin. I can't remember now, but I had seen an article before where, and donkeys don't reproduce very quickly, but I had seen an article before, maybe a few weeks ago, I think we talked about it, where someone in some country in Africa had their donkey stolen, and their donkey was like basically their like livelihood, and they didn't really have the resources. It kind of put them in the hole, but they think that the reason that the donkey was stolen, the article was theorizing, is because there's such a high demand for this donkey meat, donkey skin, donkey situation that someone stole it and sold it. So they probably got, $150, $200, whatever they got. This was this man's weekly livelihood, so it put him in the hole because he couldn't quickly and easily. But anyway, so the story continues, and China is reducing the tax. Like, I don't care. And it's, I think, like 7 or 8 African countries that have banned the export of donkey meat and carcasses. Liberia president-elect to foreign investors. We are open for business. Iran protests, Telegram and Instagram restricted. Now, Telegram is some social media strategy. Apparently, people have been organizing protests via social media, so they done shut that off. The people in Iran who are in control are like, oh no, y'all not going to be organizing on Twitter and Facebook, the equivalent. No, we shutting that off. You don't have no way to communicate. Call them, send them a smoke signal. You ain't going to do it using these interwebs. Congo, police block Kabila protest. I think Kabila is the person who's in power now, and he was supposed to be having, there was supposed to be an election, but he ain't having no election. It looked like he's just gonna stay in power. I think he served 2 terms, and that's supposed to be the end of it. But and so people are protesting, and the police are like blocking it, like you know. Rwanda plans to be a smart nation, as in focus on technology as an economic thing. Hold on, I'm going back to where I was yesterday. We talked about this today, but it's on my news feed from yesterday. Alleged swatting hoax ends in the death of a father of 2. I think I said a father of 4. But Solange puts health first, cancels New Year's Eve NYE appearance to deal with autonomic nerve disorder. What's an autonomic nerve disorder? Heal well, sis. Cardboard tents distributed to Brussels homeless. The litter shaming photographer cleaning up her country. So she taking pictures with piles of garbage in order to shame people. Like, this is how we treat our country. I can't stand to see people litter. I think it's something that it got ingrained in me as a child, probably in elementary school, some anti-littering campaign. I see people, grown people, like throw food out the car at a stop sign. I'm like, you know, they eating fast food, which they shouldn't be doing, and it's probably impairing their mental capacities. If they throwing food out the window, what's wrong with you? And they just throw their garbage. Well, can't you hold your garbage and then throw it when you get to the nearest waste paper basket? Why are you throwing stuff out the window? Yuck. I want to shame them, take a picture of their license plate, and I don't know. I don't like it. Eric Garner's daughter, Erica, declared brain dead, according to mother. I think she's made her transition now, but that was on my news feed. Viral religious cartoon under fire for racist message. Dr. Phil says Dr. Phil guests say show enabled use of drugs and alcohol while they were seeking treatment. Report. I don't know if it's true or not, but wouldn't that be something to add to the drama or whatever? The article is like, people like, here's some liquor, here's some, you want some, whatever their drug of choice was, they giving it to them before the show. And you know how if you've ever watched a show, Dr. Phil will be like, are you high now? And the people will be like, no, yes. And that's part of the drama, because we be watching, we be like, they high now. Mental evaluation ordered for man who killed 2 postal workers while completely nude. Rest in peace to the people who got killed. You out here killing people, which is already crazy. I don't know what your history is with them, but is that the best way you have to resolve it? And then you're nude. So yeah, it sounds like there's some mental health issues. Why you get naked to kill people? I don't understand. Mental health is a real issue. George Weah elected Liberian president. I think he's the one who just said today, we're open for business, foreigners. UNICEF says scale of attacks on children in conflicts is shocking. A lot of children get raped and attacked and hacked and carrying on during these conflicts in the world. What is people? We got to pray for the people. We got to pray for ourselves and each other. What in the world? Like, what do they have to do with anything? Children. Content moderators for tech giants like Facebook and YouTube reveal what it's like to sift through some of the most disturbing material on the internet. They say it's depressing, and I guess they hire a lot of temporary people to do it. So like the sites that, like when stuff is reported for being like, this is offensive. Although I had an article reported for being offensive, and I'm like, it was offensive because it was showing how Native American people were treated. I felt like it was politically motivated when I see they hire a lot of temporary people. But anyway, so these temporary people, they sifting through, like, somebody posts up child pornography or whatever foolishness and disgusting stuff, people racist, hot, and then they have to look through all of the stuff that people report and figure out, theoretically what's obscene and what's okay and what's not. Yeah, that seems kind of like, it doesn't seem like it would be it seemed like being somebody who traffics in like crime and stuff. Olympic organizers may use facial recognition to manage guests. Not at this Olympic, not the Winter Olympics, but the next Summer Olympics. I think it's going to be somewhere in Asia as well. Mauritanian carrier becomes first in Africa to fly newest Boeing 737. Scandal of U.S. teen locked up without trial. I think it was a mental health issue, and I think it was a young white guy. Twitter bans imposter buster bot that ID'd Nazi troll. So somebody hit, and they could identify the trolls, and Twitter is like, oh no, we want these Nazi trolls out here trolling and harassing people. Is that what it is, Twitter? I mean, I'm just wondering. Failed satellite program with wrong coordinates. Workplace robots could increase inequality, warns RIPower. I don't know who RIPower is. Yemen war. Saudi-led strikes kill 68 civilians in one day. Rest in peace. It's like kind of amazing how many people get killed like on a daily basis. I mean, I guess the world is like full of people. But it's kind of like it's disturbing. Like, oh my gosh, 68 people? Rest in peace for you and your families and communities. India's moonwalking traffic cop. A top editor is leaving HuffPost amid newsroom shift. Sweden's giant Gavle goat survives Christmas. I think it's made out of straw and usually it gets vandalized or burnt up, but it didn't. It survived at the time of this report. AG Jeff Sessions repeals 25 anti-discrimination guidance letters, calls them unnecessary. Nigerian Air Force says U.S. agrees to sell it $593 million worth of Super Tucano fighter planes. Ride to airport for $2 now on new smart bus service. That's here in Detroit. I saw somebody, I posted it on my Facebook page, and somebody was like, well, there goes rides to the air. I think they're like an Uber driver or something. They're like, I'm not going to get any more rides or whatever. But like when I lived in New York, you could take a train to the airport. Now, I think that I had a favorite. I think it was about $32 at that time to get to the airport. And there were 3 airports in the area, JFK, Newark, and LaGuardia. And I think LaGuardia was my favorite, but it might have been Newark. But I think it was LaGuardia. But I think that the train to the plane went to JFK, but I can't remember. But I would often take a cab. It would be like $32. So, and then I saw with the bus service, I think it's like every half hour or whatever. So depending, I was like, oh, I have to be aware of that. So if I decide to explore something like that, I can book at a time where it's feasible to use, you know, because a lot of times I like to book early morning flights. So, you know, if, you know, I don't want to miss my flight messing around with no bus, even if it's just $2 not coming back from the airport, that's different. But, you know, and then you have to coordinate that too, because if you're coming back late at night and then you're going downtown, you know, whatever. So, yeah. A burnt bagel forced an entire terminal at a St. Louis airport to evacuate. I guess it set off the fire alarm. Claire's recalls makeup after Rhode Island mother discovers cancer-causing asbestos in her daughter's lip gloss. How did the mother discover that? And why didn't Claire's with their corporate machine discover it? Or did they discover it and just cover it up? I mean, I'm just wondering. Diane Kruger's new movie was so emotionally devastating, she couldn't work for 6 months, and it was filmed during the darkest time in her life. I don't know who Diane Kruger is, but some of the, you know, actors, they get intense. I mean, I'm not intense like that, but I've never done a film. Maybe I will. I don't know. I did student films, but you know, no big projects. Brazil captured an alleged member of one of Mexico's most powerful drug cartels on his Christmas vacation. All right, so I'm going to stop now, and we'll catch up maybe, or we might just go forward. We don't know. It's a mystery. We go figure it out. But thank you so much for tuning in to Notes on the News. I'm Angela again. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Share, like, comment, subscribe. I'm working still on 200 subscribers. Consider subscribing if you like what I do here. And remember to be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous. You. Be you. Be fabulous. Be